Hello all, welcome to part 39 of TestNG training series. In this session, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate how to read data from Excel files into the data provider methods which pass data to the test methods. Okay, in this session. So, these data provider methods are going to use POI API to read the data from the Excel files, and thereafter, after reading the data from this Excel files, data provider methods are going to pass the data, that is test data, to the test methods. All these things I'm going to practically demonstrate in this session, and this session is dependent on the previous session. Okay, if you can see here, this is the current session, guys, that I'm going to take. So this session is going to dependent on the previous session where I have practically demonstrated in detail how to read the data from Excel files using Apache POI in multiple ways. Okay. So before watching this session, I recommend you to watch this session and come back. Okay. So that it will be making your learning or understanding of this particular current session easy. Here you see only practical demonstration I mentioned. I directly will switch to the Eclipse IDE and I'll create a project, guys. I'll select a new project. I'll search for Maven here and I'll get a Maven project here. Select next, create a simple project. It will have its own archetype. It will not select any particular template. Okay, it will have default template. Here, give the project name, guys. That is TestNG POI Data Providers Demo. Some big project name I gave. That's okay, guys. I'll just give some random. Okay, this is a project name that we have to give in the artifact ID. Here I'll give TPD, PD, something like that. Okay, some random group ID I'm giving. Click on finish. The Maven project need to be created. Okay, so you see, guys, here TestNG POI Data Providers Demo project has been created. So what we have to do next is here under SRC test Java, create a new package. Let's say test package. Click on finish. I'll create a new class known as data driven test demo class. Okay, some data driven test demo. And here in this, I'll create a sample method, sample test method, say public void sample test, or I'll say login test or whatever it is. Okay, login test otherwise. And here I'll give string username, comma string password. I'll say I'll receive the username and password to this test method. I am parameterizing this method. I'll annotate this method with @test annotation. Over the mouse, you see TestNG library is not there, guys, in this project. This project is by default coming with Java library, but TestNG library is not there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll open the pom.xml file. Here I'll add something known as dependencies tag, dependencies tag, and I'll end this dependencies tag here itself /dependencies. Okay, after doing that, here in between that we have to add the TestNG library. Okay, TestNG library related dependencies. For that, we'll go to the mvnrepository.com and here search for TestNG, guys. We'll get the TestNG here. Click on the TestNG and take the latest version 7.6.1. Copy this, guys. Copy this Maven and come back here and paste the dependency tags of TestNG here. Okay. Just press tab here and place just save all. The libraries of this TestNG will be downloaded into this Maven dependencies. You see TestNG libraries got downloaded. Now go to the DTDD demo and hover the mouse on @test. Now you are getting the import statement of importing this test annotation from TestNG library because we just now added the library to the pom.xml file. After this, guys, create one data supplier method. Public void data. I'll just give some random name like data supplier. You can give any name. Okay. Data supplier and provide an annotation known as @data provider annotation. Over the mouse, import this data provider from TestNG and here give the name to this data supplier, guys. Give the name to the data supplier as supplier. Just simply give a supplier for now. And here also to connect this data provider method with this test method, we have to add data provider annotation attribute. Data provider attribute is equal to the name of the data provider, that is supplier. You have to give here. Okay. So now this data provider is now connected to the test method. What I want to do next is save all. What I want to do next is here I want to read the data from the Excel file. I want to read the data from the Excel file, guys. Okay. So for that, if you have followed the previous session, you would have known what is the code you have to write here. First, we have to get the Excel file path. String Excel file path is equal to, we have to give some path here, but here we don't have any Excel file, guys. Okay, we don't have any Excel file. You see, in this project, there is no Excel file. So I'll do one thing under SRC test resources. I'll just provide an Excel file. Okay, under SRC test resources, I'll provide an Excel file. So for that, I'll go to one of the location in my machine and create an Excel file first. I'll delete this existing data and I'll create an Excel file. I'll simply create an Excel file saying tutorials ninja. I'll give the name like tutorials ninja because I'm going to automate this application, guys. Okay, data driven testing I'm going to do with tutorialsninja.com. Okay, /demo application. I'm giving this name as tutorials ninja data. I'll give, okay, data.xlsx file. Open this xlsx file and here provide rename this sheet as login sheet because I'm going to give the data of the login. And here I'll give some columns, say email and password. So if you go to this login page, what is there? Let's see. Email address and password is there. So I'm going to give email address, email and password. That's enough. Okay. Email and password. Now, how many sets of email and password I want to give? I want to give 3 sets. Let's say A Motori cap1@gmail.com. This is the email and password is 12345. Similarly, A Motori cap2@gmail.com. Again 12345. Here an extra space has come. Okay. The space I'll remove it. Okay. Yeah. Now 12345 is the password. Now third one, A Motori cap3@gmail.com. I'll give that as password as 12345. So here cap1 is fine. Then per my knowledge, I know cap3 as a valid email address. Then cap9 or 7, I really don't remember actually. Here for one of the thing is 9 and one of the thing is 1 will be working. I don't know whether 3 is working or not. So let's check and confirm the data. Amotory 9 is there. It will work. Cap1 I'll try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's working. So what I gave cap1. Cap1 is working, guys. So cap3 will try now. Cap9 anyhow it will work. Cap3 is also working. So these 3 sets of data, guys, I'll just highlight this column and I'll just put this rows kind of thing, the borders, and I'll save this data. That's it. Okay. Now this is the Excel file I want. So what I'll do is I'll have created the Excel file. I'll copy this Excel file under SRC test resources here. You can get this. You see, this is Excel file under SRC test resources. I have to give the path of this Excel file here in this data supplier method. How to give that path? First of all, I'll write system.getProperty user.dir, which will give the project path, complete project path till the project it will come. Under the project, under SRC, under test, under resources, we have this file. So we have to append that with // under SRC, under test, under resources. Under resources, we have the file known as tutorials. Let's be good with the spelling mistakes because a lot of people will make spelling mistakes here. Tutorials ninja data dot xlsx, extension is xlsx, and put a semicolon at the end, guys. Okay, the error will be gone. Put a semicolon. Yeah, done. Excel file path we gave. What is the next thing we have to give? We have to represent this file, Excel file. Excel file is equal to new file. Now hover the mouse on this file and import this from java.io package and provide the path of this Excel file in this file constructor. Now next step is to write the file input stream to read the data from the Excel file. File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream. Okay, and say import this file input stream from java.io and provide the file here, the constructor. Here we have to surround with try catch blocks, guys. I'll surround with try catch blocks. Okay, if any issue is there, it will surround with try catch blocks. And now next statement is, okay, next statement is after reading this, I have to make it global, guys. Otherwise, I'll not be able to access. You'll understand that anyhow. Okay. Here I need to create an object for XSSF workbook. As explained in the previous session, we have to create an object for the XSSF workbook. New XSSF workbook. Okay. This session you will understand easily if you have gone through the previous session, guys. Okay. Now I'll hover the mouse on the XSSF workbook. I'm not getting an import statement because this project is currently having the libraries from Java, and just before we have added the TestNG libraries into the pom.xml file. Only 2 libraries are there. Now POI API libraries also we need. For that again we have to go to MVN repository and search for POI here, 3 letters POI. Then we'll get these 3 things: POI XML schemas, POI XML, POI. I'll go with schemas first. The latest version is available is 4.12. Copy this, come back here, go to the pom.xml file, add that POI XML schemas. Just press tab here. This is done. Now let's go back, and next one is POI XML, and here latest version than 4.12 is available, but I'll go till 4.12, guys. I'll copy this, come back here and paste it. Okay. Now save this, and again go back, normal PI, and here also 4.12. It should be common, guys. Okay. That's the reason I'm taking that. If schemas is having 4.12, then OXML also should be having 4.12, and also the PI also should be having 4.12. It doesn't matter, guys, because Excel, right? Excel versions, older versions is also fine. Just save this. We have added the POI API dependencies, and they'll get downloaded here, and you can see them here, guys. Okay, POI XML and all those stuff. Now go back here to the DTT demo, and hover the mouse on XSF workbook, and now hover it again. You'll get the import statement. Import this from POI API library, and here this constructor cannot be empty. Here we have to provide the file input stream. But the problem is this file input stream will not be visible here because it is local to the try block. I have to make it global, guys. First make it global here and remove the double declaration. And now it should be okay. Now again surround with try catch blocks. Okay, wherever you get the opportunity to provide try catch blocks, better to provide that, guys. Okay, any mistakes or any issues, okay, so it will identify. Okay, now I have to use this workbook object reference. You will get an error here. The reason here is workbook is local. I have to make it global. Copy this and put it here. Press semicolon and remove the declaration from here. Yeah, now we got the workbook. We have to get the sheet name. What is the sheet name, guys? If I open the sheet name parallelly from the downloads folder, which I copied into the project, the sheet name is login here. Okay, so I'll say workbook dot get sheet of string name. I'll here give as login, guys. Login. Okay, login is the sheet name, and this method will return the XSS of sheet. Okay, just say sheet is equal to, hover the mouse on the sheet, and create local variable XSS of sheet will come. What is the problem with the workbook? Still, we have to initialize the variable here. Okay, here FIS also we have to initialize the variable. Okay, null will come. Then after this is done, what we have to do? After this is done, what we have to do, guys? We have to from this sheet we have to get the rows. How to get the rows? There are 2 ways: using for loop or using iterators. I'll go with the iterators, guys, which is easiest way and more dynamic way. Iterators will return you the iterator of rows. Okay, I'll say rows is equal to, over the mouse and say create local variable. And since we have iterator, I'll be using the while loop. Rows dot as next. So this logic I explained in the previous session. Just go with that. Rows dot next, and this will return you. This next will return you the row, guys. So say row is equal to, row by row it will go. Okay, over the mouse, create local variable. Row has come. Now I have to say row dot iterator method, which will return you iterator of cells. So I have to say all the cells, cell by cell it will go. For every row, it will go through every cell if you write the inner while loop. Now while cells dot has next, then write down cells dot next, put a semicolon. It will return you the cell, guys. Cell by cell it will go. Over the mouse, create local variable. Now we have to find out the cell type, because here it can be string data, it can be numerical data, it doesn't matter. So we have to find the cell type. Cell dot get cell type. Okay, this I explained in the previous session, so I am going fast. Over the mouse, it will return you the cell type. Cell type is equal to same logic, guys. We are using iterators of the previous session. Okay, now write switch case, switch, and write the cell type here. Write the cell type here, and provide this. Now provide case. If the cell type data from the data of this particular cell is of string type, you have to give string like this. And then what you have to do? First, you have to create an array, guys. Okay, here you just create an array. Before you start the while loops, you create an array, because this data provider has to store. This data provider has to supply the data in the form of array. So just create an array here. Object, two-dimensional object array. Okay, two-dimensional object array. Data is equal to new object array. Okay, like this you have to create. Here we have to give number of rows and number of columns, guys. Okay, number of rows and number of columns. How to find the number of rows? So that's the problem, guys. That's the problem. So we can find out, guys. So here, just say sheet dot. There is a method of finding the number of rows. Sheet dot. Somewhere we have written rows. Okay. So fine. I'll say what to do. I'll say sheet dot get physical get. I'm just losing my get physical number of rows. Total number of rows will be returned by this method as explained in the previous session, guys. Int rows count. I'll say rows count is equal to, okay, int rows count. This rows count, I'll give it here. And similarly, column count, I'll find out. COLS count, columns count is equal to sheet dot first row, get row of index 0. First row, in first row, how many? Any of the row you can take, 1, 2, 3. Better to go with the 0th row. And say dot get last cell number. It will give you the number of columns, guys, as explained in the previous session. Give this here. Okay, like this you have to create an object array. Now what you have to do here is, if the case is string, into this object array, data of, how can you do this actually? So that is the problem with the iterators, right? So can we use it? Okay, so maybe I'm just thinking of some option here. If it is an object array, is there any way where we can iterate, and then you see it will contain rows and columns actually. Rows count is there, column count is there. Okay, we are able to get the cell type, but this while is not working. Is there any way I can provide this? I'm just thinking. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, let's try some logic, guys. So what I'm going to do here is, here I'm going to create one more thing, that is int r is equal to 0. I'll say first. Okay, int r is equal to 0. So here what I will do is, I'll say data of r, I will say, and here I'll also say int c is equal to 0 also. Okay, int c is equal to 0. Row is equal to 0, column index is equal to 0. Okay, rc I'll say, and is equal to the cell type dot get. Okay, what is that problem? Switch case, right? Cell type dot not cell type, guys. We have to say cell dot. Sorry. Okay, cell dot get string cell value. Okay, this is what you have to do. And here I'll say C plus plus. Okay, after this is done, cell will be incremented and then break. C plus plus and break. Okay, C will be incremented to 1. This is one thing. And here one more case I'll write. Case string is done numeric. Numeric. If it is number type, then here also same logic, guys. Same logic we have to write, is equal to cell dot get numeric cell value, and have to typecast that into int. Okay, I'll just typecast that into int before storing, because here you will get decimal value that need to be converted to int, and then here also C plus plus, then break. Then next one case, if it is boolean, for example, it is boolean, Again, the same thing. I'll just copy paste all this stuff, guys, and modify the values. Here I don't have to typecast and simply say dot cell dot get boolean cell value. That's it. Okay, C++. After this which case is done and after this inner for loop is completed, the cell will be completed, guys. Cell will be completed and we'll go to the external for loop and at the end of this while loop, guys, at the end of this while loop, we have to say r plus plus. You have to increment the value of r by 1, that is row by 1. So row is was initially 0, now it will become 1. Okay, that's it, right? For all cells, it will iterate and every time it will iterate, C++ will happen. Okay, again, in the beginning, C should be 0. And in the beginning, C should be 0. Otherwise, what will happen? There is a problem happening. Okay. So some logic mistakes will come, guys. Okay. So C will be index 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 like that. Okay. Up to 1 is fine. Then after that, C should become again 0, guys. Okay. After the while loop is completed here, C is equal to 0, we have to say. Okay. C is equal to 0. Then here again it will start. C will be 0 again because we assigned C to 0. Okay. Then R will become 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. It will be iterated, the inner while loop. And again C will be 0 and R will become 2. Like that it will go on. I think this logic will work, which will store the data into this two-dimensional object array. And finally, we have to return this data. Okay. Where we have to return this data? Here. This is a method, guys. This is a method which has to return the data. So here I'll say return data. Okay. To return the data, it should be two-dimensional object array. It should be two-dimensional object array, guys, like this. Now this data will be supplied to the this one. Okay. And here you know that here you know that this data is coming in the form of string and this is coming in the form of integers, but both are objects only, right? So what we can do, I'll do one thing. I'll just keep that as object and see what will happen. You have to convert that to string. Is it required? This one also I'll try to convert that to string. Though we are storing in the form of number, but converting to string, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Let's see. If doesn't work, we'll change anything. So it is returning the data for now. And here I have to write the Selenium code. WebDriver manager dot. So Selenium library is not there first of all. So again go to pom.xml file, add the libraries of the Selenium here. For that, go here and say Selenium Java and click on this and take the latest version 4.4.0 for now as per today's date when I'm recording the session. Copy this and paste the dependencies here. Selenium is also coming now into this project. Save this. Yeah, let it download these libraries. After it is done, go back. And now this is not related to Selenium. WebDriver Manager is not related to Selenium. So sorry, I added Selenium here. We should be adding WebDriver Manager first. Okay, we should be adding the WebDriver Manager. WebDriver Manager is not part of Selenium, guys. So I was in a hurry. I just mentioned that. Just search for WebDriver Manager. First, we'll go step by step. Okay, we'll add Selenium also is required, but let's add later when it is required. Go to the latest version 5.3.0, which will automate the driver management. Copy this, come back here, and go back and paste it here. Dependency of WebDriver Manager, which actually manages the drivers required by browsers. Okay. Now let's say WebDriver Manager dot. Now you see it's kind of giving Chrome driver dot setup. Chrome driver dot setup. Then WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. I'll say WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Here is a problem. WebDriver manager library is there, but now Selenium library is not there. So go to pom.xml file and now this is the time for adding the Selenium library, guys. Okay, I was in a hurry. I added earlier, but now I removed it and add in again Selenium Java. Go to the latest version of Selenium Java 4.4.0. Copy this, come back here and paste it here. Now tap, just save this. Selenium libraries will also be added to this project. After they are done, come back here and hover the mouse on WebDriver and import this WebDriver interface from Selenium library and Chrome driver class from Selenium library and say driver dot. Now write the code manage dot window dot maximize. write the code for logging into the application using these credentials. Okay, so how to do that? Then driver.get, I have to say, provide the application URL. This application, let me log out and let's start from scratch. This is a home page of this application. Copy this URL, paste it here. After this is done, what we have to do, we have to click on this my account, inspect this my account, and here my account, and it is having the span tag. So I can create an XPath, Control F, text is my account, / span, text is equal to my account. Like this you have to create. It is locating one by one. That is nothing but the my account option is getting highlighted. Copy this XPath of the my account and say driver dot find element by dot XPath. Provide the XPath of the my account and say dot click. Now click. Okay. After clicking on the my account, then you have the login option. Inspect this login option, guys. Inspect this login option. You'll get this link text. Anchor tags are there. So link text. Driver dot text between the tags is a link text. Driver dot find element by dot link text. Provide the link text of that login option. Say dot click. After clicking on the login option, you will be taken to the login page where you have to enter the email address. Inspect this email address field and it has an ID. Input email is ID. Come back here. Say driver dot find element by dot ID. Provide the ID of that and say dot send keys. Here pass the username. Okay, pass the email, or you can give that as email also, not a problem. Email, pass the email. Pass the email. The send keys, whatever the email that is being passed by this test method, this data provider method to this. Data provider is reading from the Excel file and we are getting here. So driver dot find element by dot ID password field, guys. For password field, let's inspect the password field. Inspect the password field. Here ID is there. Copy this ID by dot ID and say dot send keys. Give the password here. This password parameter just provide here. This password will be received from the data provider method. And finally, we have to click on the login button. Let's give some random email address and password, valid email address and random valid email address and password here so that we can continue our automation script. Inspect this. Login button is coming. Value login is there. Input value login. So I'll say / input value is equal to login. I'll write this XPath. It's locating. Copy this. Copy this and say driver dot find element by dot XPath. Provide the XPath of that login button. Say dot click. Say dot click. Okay, it will click on the login button. After clicking on the login button, guys, now you have to verify any of these options which are not available for not logged in user. I'll go with the first option, guys. Edit your account information. Inspect that. Inspect that and just take this text. This is the link text, guys. Okay, copy the text and say assert dot assert true. Okay, I went somewhere. Assert true driver dot find element by dot link text having edit your account information link text dot is displayed. Okay, if it is true, the test will pass. And here I'll say driver dot quit. I'll quit the browser. Okay, I'll quit the browser, guys. This is what the script I have written, and here email and password will come from this data provider. Data provider will get this data from the Excel sheet. Okay, save all. Errors are not there. Now let's try to run this TestNG test, guys. Let's run this TestNG test and see whether everything is working fine or not. We'll improvise the script a bit. You'll see that. Run this. So let's see. Chrome browser maximized. Email. Oh, email text is being typed actually. So password text, email text and password text are being typed here. Looks like okay. So what's the problem here? I understood. The problem here is it is reading this email and password, but we should be reading only from these rows, right? I'm giving the first row. Okay. This email and this password I was passing here. Okay. So this email is being typed there instead of this one. So what we can do is while storing the data into this, we have to be careful, guys. Okay. Uh, how to be careful actually. So let's see if column is 0 is okay, but we have to start with row 1. Okay, we should not be starting with row 0, guys. Row 1 we have to start r++. Okay. Uh, I think let's see whether it will work or not. Okay, so this is gone. So let's stop the script from execution. That's fine. Clear it. Now just change the logic a bit where we have to start from row 1. Okay, now run this. Let's see what will happen this time. Okay, it's got failed. So runtime exception, array index out of bounds exception is coming. Index for out of bounds for length 4. Why it's so? Where exactly? So what is the code I have done? Mistake I have done. Let's see. Failures 1. All problem with the iterator, guys. Okay. Mm, Index for out of bounds for length 4. At which line it is coming? Okay. Okay. So let's see the logic here. R is equal to 1. Row has next. It's taking the first row. Okay, that row is not nothing but right. One row we have to skip actually. One row we have to skip. So what I will do here is I'll just be kind of thing where r is equal to 1 I'll mention, but here I'll just put it here. It will initially skip the first row and go to the next row, and then it will go to the here I should remove the row actually. Okay. Row dot next. Second row onwards, it will take the data and cells and all those stuff. Okay. So let's see whether this will work or not, or this also will give the error. Modify later. Run. Okay, now looks like it's taking my logic. It's all about logic, guys, what we are writing and all. Okay. Email address is not being typed and password is not being typed. There's a problem. Illegal argument. Keys to send should not be null char sequence. Okay. So guys, I'll do one thing. Maybe this iterator is making the things complex, guys. Okay. Iterator part. Instead of iterator, I'll use for loops. Okay. uh, this is making the things more complex. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll comment out this code, and in place of this I'll put you know so till rows count and columns count is fine, but here object array is also fine, but here is a problem where I have to comment this out, and okay, this is not working out. So let's write other logic using for loops. Let's try. Okay, using for loops, let's try. So how to use for loops? For int r is equal to 0, r less than rows count, r plus plus. Okay, int r is equal to 0. We have to start with 1, guys, because row 1 we have to start. R less than rows count is fine, because in the row 0 we have the headings in the Excel sheet. Okay, that's the problem. So we'll start like this int, and we'll get the row here. First of all, we'll get the row here. How to get the row actually? Sheet dot get row of index, that is r. Then it will take the row. Maybe looks like for loop is better in this case. Okay. Okay, row we got. Now inner for loop will write int c is equal to 0. We have to start with. Okay, all columns c less than here rows count, here columns count c plus plus. Okay, the iterator's logic is not working for me somehow. Why to waste time? I'll go with the for loop logic. I have explained anyhow the iterator logic and for loop logic in the previous session, but now let's go with the for loop logic to make the things more easier. Now here this is fine. Here what I'm going to do here is for okay, sheet what is that, we have to get the from row, we'll get the cell. Okay, row dot get cell of index c, put a semicolon over the mouse. Cell will coming, cell will be coming, and create the cell, and let's find out the cell type. All this logic is same here. Finding the cell type, this is the cell type, and switch case, this switch case is also same. Let's write it otherwise. Okay, why to confuse? Cell dot get cell type. Okay, and it will return you the cell type, that is cell type. Cell type is equal to over the mouse and say create local variable. And now say switch case, switch of cell type. I'll copy the switch case otherwise. Okay, I'll copy the switch case and modify accordingly. Switch case only I'll modify. And here C++ and everything is not required, guys. Okay, because we are following a different approach this time. You see, RC is fine because we got the row here and column here. So RC will be there. RC will be there, and C++ is not required. But okay, they're converted that into int. That's fine. And here C++ is not required. And that's all. The loop will iterate, and all the data will be stored, I feel. Okay, so we don't have to do much. It's very simple compared to the iterators, right? In this script actually. So now we have to return the data. Where we have to return this data? So here I'll remove all this commented out code, guys. Okay, because it will confuse us. Here we have to return the data, I guess. Okay, let's try this again. So it is ending here. So I have to return the data here, return data here. So two-dimensional object array is being written, and that is being passed to email and password. And let's see whether this logic is working or not. Okay. So I changed the logic, all logic, complete logic I changed. Let's see, using for loops this time. Chrome browser launching. Email is not being entered. Why? What is the problem here? Illegal argument exception. What is that illegal? Reflect internal match. Keys to send should be a not null char sequence. Okay. Uh-huh. So 36 is the line which is failing. Here it is failing, guys. Why it is failing there? Let's find it out. Stop. Sixth line is failing actually. This line, send email. This email is not being passed here. Okay, keys to be sent is not. Maybe there is a mismatch between the object array, two-dimensional object array, and this conversion that I am doing here, cell type conversion. Get numeric cell value. What if whatever it is, if I take it as a string value, then if I don't have to use a switch case, then okay, if okay, let's try this out, guys. Okay, let's do one thing. I'll just do one thing, guys. I'll just only put this one cell dot. Okay, I don't want to find the cell type or switch case. I don't want to use. Let's see what will happen. Okay, is it really required switch case? I'm just finding it out and returning the data. Data, right? Data. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, still the failure is coming. Runtime exception, illegal state exception. Cannot get a string value from a numerical cell. Ah, now it's finding out the numerical cell and it's not able to. Okay, so we'll do one thing. Object array can store anything. So I'll go back. Control Z. Get numeric data is only fine. What is the problem here? Cell type is the problem. Okay. String numeric, it's taking numeric. That's all fine. But the problem is it's unable to pass, I guess. Okay. When it is passing, what's happening? I'll print it out, guys. I'll print it out here. System.out.println. I'll just see, just to troubleshoot the program. Let me print it out. Save this. Now run this. aronmotori@gmail.com. Then it failed. Okay. Illegal state exception, cannot get a string value from a numerical cell. So here string is there, and here numerical value is there, guys. Okay. I'll say int, but here again send keys will not. Okay. Password dot. How to convert an integer into a. How to Here anyhow we are converting into integer, right? Just see the logic once. Putting int here. Okay, I'm storing an object. So what's the problem? Where exactly it is failing? First of all, let's see. 1 minute, 1 minute. Legal that's 719 method helper. Just checking test invoker, array list, test runner, test DDD 83. 83 is a line. Here it is failing. Okay, I have not removed it actually. Okay, so get cell type. This will be coming. Here I'll put string only, but let's see whether what is the problem now. Again, I have forgot to remove one line. Okay, run this. Errors exist. Password dot is there actually. Okay, run this. Let's see whether it will fail or pass this time. It's printing the data properly. I think it will work this time. It's not passing the data here. Why? But in the output, we got cap 1, cap 3. All the data has been printed, but the data is not getting passed. Method matcher exception. Illegal argument. Maybe the argument is taking it wrong. Maybe we'll put int here because it is returning in the form of int maybe. Okay. And then here convert this integer into I'll say integer dot value of otherwise string dot value of integer. Integer is a password. Okay. Let's see whether this will work. I'll convert this integer into string and then I'll pass. Okay. So here I'm collecting in the form of integer and converting into string where it is required. Okay. The password thing. Run this. Okay. Again, it failed. Too much. Method matching exception. Okay, guys. The problem is reading this in the form of a string is the problem. Okay. This password is in the form of numbers. Numerical cell value is coming. They're converting that. And here also you see numerical is getting printed, but this numerical is not being transformed. Okay, how can I do that? Then integer will be there, integer data will be passed, integer here, till here it should be fine. But here it's not getting converted. So I'll do one thing. System.out.println email system.out.println password. I'll try. Save this, run this. Let's see what will happen. No, it's not passing at all. Data provider mismatch. String argument 0, int argument 1. Your arguments are null. There are no arguments at all, it's saying. Okay, so okay, let me check, guys. Let me check and verify this. So, guys, I have resolved this problem. There was small logic issue, nothing much. So this is okay. String email and int password is okay, and converting that password into the string is fine. Till here, it is everything is fine. But here, what the problem is? There is a mismatch between the array I'm creating, the size of the array I'm creating, okay, it should be 3, 2 in size. Okay, here row count -1 we have to keep because only three rows, right? So it cannot be row count is 4 actually. Okay, number of rows should be only 3 in the array. Okay, that's the main thing. So otherwise it will take the headers and all those stuff. And also here we have to give r is equal to 0. We have to start with not r is equal to 1, r is equal to 0. That was another mistake I have done in the logic. R less than row count -1. Okay, row count -1. We have to say this row count -1 means it will become 3. Okay, 0 to less than 3. 0, 0, 1, 2. Okay, into 0, 1, 2 we are storing. So here I am saying r plus 1. You see, it's a tricky thing, guys. Okay, we should not be we should be skipping the heading, and the remaining 3 rows we have to copy. Okay, so for that, this is the only way we have to do. Here row count -1, size of the array should be correct. At same time, we have to start from the first row, though we are saying r is equal to 0 here and storing into the array in the form of 0 and 0, 0, 1 like that. But here row plus 1 we have to start with. Okay, this is small logic here, 2 to 3 lines. Okay, row -1, row count -1, row count -1, r is equal to 0, and here r plus 1. These are the changes. Here simple r only. Okay, simple r only. Here remove this r -1. Okay, only r. So this will work out, guys. This logic, small logic changes done here in this for loop, right? It is working fine. So now save this. I'll share this project with you guys. Don't worry, in the notes I'll give this project. Okay, so that you can copy paste this code. Okay, and then work it out. You see, the logic sometimes takes time. Okay, you see this. I'm just intentionally printing. I'll remove this printing also. Let's see whether it is working fine or not. You see, first credential is working. From the Excel file, the data is being read, and data provider is passing to the test method. Okay, this is a way to work, guys. Okay, when you work in real time only, you will face all these problems, and then you will be able to find the solutions, guys. Okay, so we have to convert that integer to string and all those stuff to get this done because the password is in integer format. Okay, so it's a kind of good example, I can say. If you can work out this example, then you are good with okay, reading the data into the data provider and passing it to the test method. How to do that, conversions and all, everything should be clear. Okay, guys. So I'll share this. Okay, this in the notes. So at this moment, the notes are not updated. Okay, the notes are not updated at this moment. In the only image is there. Here I'll put the project code. Okay, the project code I'll put. So you can collect the project code from the notes. Fine. Okay, guys. This is all about how to read data from the Excel files into the data provider and there into the test methods. Okay, the logic is the main part, guys. We are using for loops and working with logic because here we should not be taking the first row. Okay, we have to consider the data only from the this row. Okay, that is index of the row is 1, 2, 3. The size of the array should be only 3, 2 in size. Okay, 3 rows and 2 columns in size. All this logic we have to see, and we have to collect the data only from the row 1. So accordingly we have to change the logic here. Okay, row plus 1 I am saying, that's why even though I am starting with 0, I am saying get row of r plus 1. The array size is like a 3, 2 here. Okay, this if you can take care, then you will get the proper logic. Otherwise you will get all that kind of exceptions and errors, okay, that we are facing. Okay, fine. Anyhow, I'll be sharing the project. You can investigate this code and work out for yourself. Okay, this logic is working, and we are. And one more thing we can do, guys, we can separate this data provider into another class. Now the things are working fine. So I'll separate this. I'll say class data supplier one or something, class name I'm giving. Click on finish, and I'll just move this data supplier provider method into another class now. Complete this thing. I'll just move it out. Okay, because we generally don't have the data supplier. Okay, data providers in the same class where the test methods are there. Control Shift O, and only test method should be there in this class, and this test method should receive the data from this class, data provider of this class. How? Here, what is the name of the class? Data supplier one. Copy this name, and here you provide data provider class is equal to, just give the class name, let's say dot class. That's it. Okay. From this class, from this data provider, the data will be supplied. Okay, otherwise this logic will look very complex in this test method. So the classes having the test method should not contain such kind of logic of the data suppliers which are reading from the Excel files. Okay, we should hide them as much as possible like this in the data provider and separate them into the class, and from that separate class we have to read the data. Now it looks good. Now run this and see whether the data is being passed by the data provider of this data supplier class, data supplier one class or not. And one more change, I have to remove these print statements, guys. Okay, these print statements are not required anymore. It will be working fine, guys. Okay, this will be the final project code now. We have separated the data provider into another class and we are making it work. This looks realistic now. Okay, it's working. 3 out of 3 are got passed, and you see same login test got executed 3 times with 3 sets of data, cap1, cap3, cap9. And that too, we are reading this data not from the Excel file, from this tutorials ninja data.xlsx file. Okay. So what I told you, I have to remove the print statements, right? Let me remove the print statements here. We should not be printing this out. Here also I'll be removing this out. Okay, fine. Now we have the finalized project code, and let me run it for the last time, guys. Okay, to make sure everything is working fine. That extra print should not happen. Directly it should work. Okay. If tomorrow, if I add more data into this Excel file, it should take. Okay, automatically. Should be dynamic. We are not hard coding the data, or we are not limiting the data. Dynamically, the data should work. More the rows I will add into the Excel sheet, the more the data it should work with. Okay. So this is a very good example I can say, guys. You see all the things got passed, and you see cap1, cap3, cap9 came and nothing got printed extra. So this is the final code, guys. I'll be sharing this final code in the notes. You can take it from there. Hope you are able to understand. Okay. So fine. That's all. I'll close all the other stuff. Then finally, we'll wind up the session. So that's all about this session, guys. In this session, we were able to read the data from the Excel files into the data provider, and from the data provider into the test method. Okay, we have used POI API also, and data provider was using POI API to read the data from the Excel files, and from there it converted into the two-dimensional object array, and then converted to the required parameter types, and then passed it into the data. Okay, we have done a lot of conversions here and there. It's a very realistic and real-time example, you can see. Okay, in real time you have to do some such kind of stuff where you cannot start with the row 1 in the Excel sheet. We have to start from the row 2, and for that array size should be different, and okay, the data, only data you have to store into the array. That logic should be like that, guys. Okay, so hope you had a great learning in this session. Okay, we should learn from the mistakes. I have also done a lot of mistakes while demonstrating. I thought it will be very easy, but when I get into the logic, right, something was missing, and then I just went here and there and modified the logic. Anyhow, I'm sharing the project code so that you also face these problems, guys. Explore, get these problems, and sort it out like this, the way I did, and then you will get the confidence. Okay, next time you do, you'll be more confident. Okay, so that's all for this session, guys. In the next session, I'm going to cover another TestNG topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.